Thanks. This is a lot of information. We appreciate you being here and sticking through this. All right. Key action steps. What's the first action step? Obviously, pass a levy. That is the most preferred option for us. But as you recall, there are two distinct possibilities for a levy passage. A 13.95 that the State Commission has put on the ballot, or is requesting us to put on the ballot, along with additional cuts, and the one that is greater than 13.95 to get us more fiscally and educationally sound. This still needs to be finalized. So, the other key action steps for passing levy, we have engaged external levy consultants in the past, and we will continue to do that to give us the most best success, or maximize our successfulness of the levy. But that being said, we must be prepared for the potential of a levy failure given our history. The other key action steps based on that would be a contingency plan for dissolution. There's only, Ohio Revised Code specifies you can either pass a levy or, the Ohio Revised Code, there's no other thing besides passing a levy that could meet this other than the contingency plan. So what we want to do is be proactive and help prepare and develop a contingency plan with the neighboring districts in the event the levies, both levies, fail. We want to engage our districts around us and empower them to come up with a mutually agreeable and beneficial plan versus letting the state specify what we think may be suboptimal. This is Little Miami's problem today, but it could be your problem within a year. We know that the districts around us have no interest in discussing Little Miami's dissolution. It's not something that's fun. It's very, very highly political and it's highly emotional. But we want those districts to know that now is the time to be discussing that. It'll be better for you, be better for your students, be better for your communities, your staff, and again, better for education. Remember, if this were to happen, we won't be here to facilitate this. That is why we are coming to you today. If you choose not to come up with a contingency plan among yourselves, you are basically saying you're going to let the state do it for you. We would hope that you can see that playing an active role in how you see these things playing out is better for you and your communities than what the state would mandate. Now, we hope to never have to use this, but again, we need the contingency plan. So what are we recommending that the contingency plan look at? Well, we're borrowing from, because there's no precedence here, we are borrowing from other laws, basically the transfer of property and the feasibility study. So those laws basically are kind of the groundwork for where we are heading with these action steps. Well, we would recommend 3 representatives from each of the districts, one including the superintendent or designee, a board member, and the treasurer, because this is definitely a financial issue. Meet, get together, collect the data, get phone numbers, emails by the middle of the month. January 15th. Why so quick? The timeline. We need to make sure we do things within the timeline to give you the best possible outcome. We suggest that these people meet monthly to develop a plan, and propose that they have a meeting at the end of January and a plan monthly meet monthly to help produce within the next 1 to 2 months level 1 data that I'll share in the next slide. We also want them to, or suggest that they provide quarterly updates back to their board, back to their communities, their superintendents and treasurers, of what they have accomplished in their meetings. Again, action steps, data, level 1 data. Mary Beth has covered this. Again, this comes from transfer of property. Although this is not an exhaustive list, as you can see here, there are a number of significant parameters that need to be studied, and in a very short time frame. That is why we want to engage these districts now. And as Mary Beth said, this is a good point to put this back into, reiterate the fact. If anyone thinks they can simply go to a map and draw boundary lines based on geography and the geography of the districts, we think that that is premature, and it's missing the complexities of what needs to be studied for this to be considered. And it's also important for all of us to refrain from doing these types of things, because it's just making assumptions. Later, in other action steps, down the road, this will have to happen, but now's not the time to do it. Right now, it will only be speculation, and it could actually impede the progress of doing something like this. Pictorially, what does this look like? Well, big arrow on the right here, we're strongly advocating districts get together, get level 1 data together. As you can see, within the timeline, you have the vote levy in May, and you have another vote in November. If the levy were to pass, and again, this is where a levy that we're talking about that would get us in the green area. Problem solved, all the data, all the information that you've had, throw it away. We don't need to talk about it. If it doesn't pass, what's the next step? Well, we're going to continue to put a levy on the ballot, because that is the desired outcome. We want to be and remain Little Miami. But if it were to fail, we move on to the second stage, where we need to engage districts. That would be another level of data, and that's probably where you would collect all the data, look at all the different scenarios of who's got what, numbers, students, and all those things. That's where you would probably get your magic marker out and start drawing lines. But in the meantime, Little Miami is adamant about trying to pass a levy. I want you to remember that. If that levy were to fail in November, that's when the surrounding districts have prepared a plan, and they take that plan to the state. This is what we think is an amicable situation for all of us. Because the little arrow on the right-hand side, that is when the state will act after our second levy failure. That's not good for anybody. We want to make sure that you are prepared and are prepared all the way up through that November levy. And if our levies pass, absolutely fantastic. That's what we want. But we want to make sure that you're ready. On the right hand, your left-hand side, there's another arrow going up and down. We put that in there for a specific reason. That is the potential of us running out of money. and actually should read from October 2011 to April 2012. But for specific reasons, for visual reasons, we put it here. So, next. There is, although this is a low probability for us in our current situation, the changing of the law. We do need to look at this to be thorough. So, we want to make sure we continue to engage our lawmakers in Columbus to figure out what potential actions we can use to get to the financial and educational goals that we need. We need to also understand the timing of these law changes. We're done, almost. Now for a wrap-up. We've been through all these scenarios, and I'm not going to go over them because you're tired, and I'm tired of talking. All right, wrap up. This is unprecedented. Any assertions by anyone regarding what will or what won't happen are unfounded, because there has never been a situation like this. This will make history. There are also a number of stakeholders that will be affected. None more important in our minds than the students. As you will see, Little Miami is considered the canary in the coal mine for the way and the trend that's happening throughout the state financially in public education. And finally, we want to empower the districts around us. We want you to be able to expand your sphere of control and influence by engaging and developing a smart contingency plan in the event of levy failures. That is in your best interest. I want to thank you for coming today. There's a few other things I do need to talk about, but thank you for your time and for listening. And before we move on, there's another section we want to talk about is concerns. Normally we have a question and answer, but this is a work session or an informational session, so we will not be taking questions. If you do have a question, we recommend that you, Lisa Canola here has a sheet that will have contact information for your representatives, your senators, your local board of education. You know that? And so we've tried to pull that together for all of our surrounding districts to give them, we don't have answers, people. We don't have these answers. A lot of people don't have these answers. So what we want to do is come up with some quality questions that would help everybody in this situation. I'm going to leave you with one quote, and I pulled this from our wonderful high school principal's. He signs his emails with this quote, and I'm going to read it. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. But the realist adjusts its sails. That's where we need to be. We're being realists. Now remember, this has never been done before. So, with that, there are a lot of questions and a lot of concerns people have. What are some of those concerns? Well, if Little Miami dissolves, districts won't get more money from voted millage because of House Bill 920. Is that true? We don't know. It's never been done. If Little Miami dissolves, districts won't receive more state funding for students if they are on the guarantee. Again, unprecedented. Little Miami teachers will lose their jobs. Really? Receiving districts will have to pay for all of Little Miami's debt. Maybe, maybe not. By engaging now other districts are agreeing to take on Little Miami's problems. I don't think so. These are some of the concerns we've heard from people. Again, cannot reiterate enough. This has never been done. We can mold this to whatever we choose to do. That's why engaging now is why we're here today. There are no laws nor procedures in place to regard school district dissolution that provide definitive answers to these or other questions. Engaging now gives all affected districts an opportunity to influence how their concerns will be answered. Again, I want to say thank you for coming. We recognize that there are many, many, many concerns that still need to be addressed, but we would like you to take some time, digest this information, because it is a highly charged issue for everyone involved. That being said, we're going to end our meeting. Again, Lisa has some cards that you can get on the way out. This PowerPoint will be put on the Little Miami website for the public to view. Thank you so much for coming.